So what's up? I thought I'd just do a quick little video from the comfort of home. At some point, I'll do a proper vlog episode recapping who's next grappling over the weekend. Um, but yeah, just wanted to do a short little video talking about something that happened during training camp for me that made the whole process a whole lot harder. Um, and also had me thinking about a whole bunch of things in the lead up to the event and now after, especially as we kind of get back to reaching homeostasis after flying and all the training and the event itself. So um, yeah, about 2 weeks out from the event, I got strep pretty badly. Um, it started off with kind of the muscle aches and things like that, and I was like, this is not good, whole body aches, sore throat, and things like that. And I went to the doctor, and obviously, I started with antibiotics and things like that. Um, I kind of had there's the little pathway of choices in front of us, like there always is, and that little decision loop that you have to go through, and that loop was okay, cool. Well, you're sick. Take a break. Take a break. Maybe even pull out. I mean, in my mind, that was not an option. Having signed a contract and taking the event seriously, pulling out's not something that I consider an option. Um, and so I know that option is there for some, and for different reasons, might be viable. For me, it wasn't. So I said, okay, well, I'm sick. I suppose what am I going to do here? Am I gonna rest and hope that this thing passes? What are we gonna do? So um, I kind of sat with it for a minute, and I was like, okay, well, it's not my lungs. Um, yeah, my system feels run down. Um, so let's just keep training. And I mean, that might seem like a pretty simple decision to make, but man, I was fucking sore. I was fucking tired. Couldn't speak. You know, coughing up little bits of phlegm and stuff that had been like in my throat. And, wasn't a great time. The sinuses start to pack in. Every time I get sick, my sinuses pack in. It's part of just having my nose as broken as it is. And blocked ears and just things are fucking miserable. So I mean, there's the very like real choice to just go, bro, just go lie down, and I don't want to do anything. I don't want to work. I don't want to even train. I don't want to do any of this. So I'm doing my job on top of everything as well, which is makes things a little bit harder for sure. Um, so anyway, yeah, look, it is what it is. I managed to still just stick to my strength and conditioning routine, and keep a good amount of training in, and then got to Friday, so the morning before, and got my flight from Auckland, land in Brisbane. I like to. I was trying to tell myself that the worst of it had passed and things like that, and I was like, okay, cool. Like you're kind of doing that little, gaslighting yourself to believing, no, 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 you're all right, you're all right. Um, I mean, I was okay. I was functional. And then I woke up morning of, and pretty much still couldn't talk. Like my throat was fucked. And then did weigh-ins early, and then pretty much just went about like getting some carbs, getting some food, getting everything in for the day to just like try and prep. Um, and yeah, I was struggling, man. I was really struggling. The mental narrative was not good. It was like, man, you should not be fighting when you're this compromised. You're very depleted. Um, you've got a really tough opponent here. Everyone says this guy's super tough. He's really good. Even some of my own mates were doubting me as well, which is like fair enough. Like they've seen the person's game, they've seen that, and they're like, oh, you gotta watch out for this shit. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I fucking know, bro. So yeah, that little cycle continues in your head, that loop continues in your head, and um, got to the venue, you know, just trying to get in the right headspace was very hard. Trying to get a warm up going was very hard. It was all very fucking hard, man. I would say the only time I've really had a camp or fought that compromised, I can think of like two other times, and I did a Nogi Nationals with COVID when I got back from Texas. That was a couple years ago now, and I was so sick I couldn't hear anything. Um, I had like tunnel vision, and fortunately, I only had like two matches that day, but that was bad. And then I think the only other time I've been that bad was also with ADCC Invitational, like last November here in NZ, and yeah, I was like coming down with a flu or something, and that was pretty bad. But I think those times were a little bit different because it was lower stakes. This was much higher stakes. It's a pro event, very well run. It's being streamed. I know a lot of people are watching. I've put a lot of effort into the camp, so like the stakes are higher, so everything's heightened, and I'm not feeling in myself that I can reach that same height of expectation or pressure that I mean it's self-imposed, so I'm not it's not like, oh, woe is me. It's more like, okay, well, we've got this pressure here, you got to meet it. And it was a real struggle to do that. I did an initial warm-up routine with Jimmy, got some hand fighting and some wrestling in, and brought the heart rate up slowly, and got a light sweat going. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm feeling okay ish. Just gonna rest here a little bit, and then this I was like a couple matches out, and then it was like, okay, cool. Well, now let's get a good sweat and a good pump going. And this was like maybe 15 minutes before my match, and then I got the body heat up, got the sweat up, got the pump going, and it wasn't until then that really like most of the symptoms kind of dropped. And yeah, and then it was like walkout time and time to go. But even mid match, that narrative continues and that loop continues, like even in the heat of action. So I mean, I guess the reason I'm telling this story, and it's regardless of win or lose criteria. I mean, yes, I did. I won. Like, I was fortunate enough to go 29-27. So I won the first round, lost the second round, and then won the third round. So this is all regardless of win and loss. This is not about the outcome of this single event. But since I've been back at work this week, I've been thinking about it, and I had a bit of a discussion with a student as well around these kind of narratives in your head and these loops that you have and that you put yourself through. And you can't, essentially what I want to get down to here is the fact that you can't enter a negotiation with yourself when it comes to some of these things. You know, the challenge for me is that if it becomes a negotiation, I'm going to lose that negotiation with myself every time, because I am my opponent. I am my biggest opposition. I'm my biggest critic. I'm the inertia that I'm trying to move through. So if I allow myself to enter a negotiation, the inertia is going to win. I'm not strong enough to beat that. So, in my mind and in the habits I've had to create with my training and with my life, I know that the default has to be do. The default has to be go. The default has to be work, because that creates a snowball of momentum that can break through that inertia that I have in myself. Um, I'm not sure if everybody has that kind of thing. I know that some people experience that. I've talked to some people who experience that. Um, but that negotiation allows a compromise. And I don't want that compromise, because the compromise is, okay, we'll take the day off. And if I take the day off, then I'm not working on the things that I need to win the match. And literally, there were days I can point to in the training camp, single days and single rounds that won me that fight, or prevented me from getting submitted in the second round when I was down. If I had been in a negotiation with myself about those rounds, or about attending class that day, you're too sick, mate. You need to be resting. Don't go today. And I hadn't done those rounds, or if I hadn't done that training, I wouldn't have taken out the win. But it was the default do that was like, you're going, you're doing that. And that momentum is what carried me through. So I guess that's the summary of this long story short, is when it comes to trying to break that inertia that often our internal narrative and we ourselves create, you need to have a default do, because the inertia and our internal narrative allows us compromises that lead to us losing our agency in the world, that lead to us not making the action, and not leading to the things that will lead to our success. And that's the biggest piece of advice that I can take away. That's the biggest gem that I've learnt from this, and hopefully it's useful to you as well. So, sure. Bye.